during the sunny days during these times, well, it's nice. I think one thing that's evident, there's a ton more mosquitoes and stuff in the air, especially when you're flying the drone and stuff like that and you're staying in one spot. They just come everywhere. And what was going on today? I guess this was everywhere in the news. Apparently with all that fight between Israel and Hamas, they agreed to some kind of ceasefire. This one says, ceasefire begins after Israel, Hamas agree to end 11 days of fighting. Although it is interesting to read this, it says, both sides declare victory after accepting deal brokered by Egypt. Again, I personally don't understand the whole situation. That makes it even more confusing when both sides are celebrating victory in that case. It says here, a ceasefire agreed by Israel and Hamas went into effect early Friday morning, ending a bruising 11-day war that caused widespread destruction in the Gaza Strip and brought life in much of Israel to a standstill. And to show, I guess, kind of how long this has been going on, it says, as with the 3 previous wars between the bitter enemies, the latest round of fighting ended inconclusively. Israel claimed to inflict heavy damage to Hamas, but once again was unable to halt the Islamic militant group's non-stop rocket barrages. And I was reading a bit about that, which is kind of interesting to think about because apparently Hamas was firing tons of missiles at Israel, but their defense system, Israel's that is, was able to knock it out of the air with their own, I guess, missiles to intercept it. But the problem is the missiles the Hamas were shooting, they're less expensive, like maybe, I don't know, something like $300, $500, whereas the missiles that Israel was firing, maybe they're over $1,000. So if they kept it up, I guess they would be overwhelmed just financially afterwards, just because of those cheaper missiles. Obviously they would have more abundance of them. Although one thing I thought it would be interesting to kind of document, just in terms of what is it that a regular person like myself understood about this situation, just briefly reading like news headlines and all that, because I would say one thing is for sure, during times like these, information is one of the things that sway opinions on who's right and who's wrong. So it might not be entirely accurate, but this is how I saw the situation just from reading the news. I mean, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong in any way, which is why, again, I said before, I don't understand the situation completely. Essentially, it was they're fighting over land or something like that. And the claim was, I guess, Israel was getting further into places where they shouldn't, to my understanding. And as a result of that, the Hamas people fired a missile. So they basically fired the first shot, technically, in terms of weapons, if that's what you want to say. As a result, Israel, I guess, saw that as, aha, you threw the first punch, so to speak. So now we're going to launch all our military weapons and whatever. Since Israel is a lot stronger in that sense, they basically used that as an opportunity to take out, I guess, all targets and stuff maybe that they wanted to for a long time. But obviously, I guess just like in real life, if someone throws the first punch at you, that gives you, I guess, the ability to defend yourself. But the argument in the situation was they went extremely overboard with the quote defending. Like, I guess with fighting and stuff, it would be like if someone is a kid or someone smaller than me tries to punch me, I can probably just defend it somehow. But if I go to the extreme, start beating the heck out of them, even with my training in martial arts and all that, people would argue, what the heck are you doing? That's so like barbaric, like stop it. So that was the argument in the situation, I think, in that sense, in terms of excessive force. I don't know, maybe the situation is different, but that's how I kind of saw the situation based on what I read in terms of headlines. But either way, again, hopefully this all ends, because the real victims are just the innocent people, the buildings and stuff getting blown up and all that, families and kids dying. It's unnecessary deaths, in my opinion. Although reading this was like good news, I guess, and it dealt with another coyote again, but people being saved. This one says, as the weather gets nice, it is important to remain vigilant of wildlife. Today, we received a call from an individual walking in the Holbrook Town Forest. She said that her and her 2 children were about a mile out in the woods, trapped in a walking trail by a large coyote. Abington Animal Control was sent out to assist while patrol units began searching the woods in the area of Park Drive. To ACO said the coyote was likely protecting a den, which is common this time of year. Detective Glover arrived on scene with the department's drone in order to use the thermal technology to help locate the individuals. Deputy Chief Marble spotted 3 individuals by the power lines and was able to confirm through dispatch and the drone it was the calling party. And with that, they were escorted out safely. And I was looking at the drone too, I was wondering which one did they actually use. I'm assuming, since they mentioned thermal at first, it would be the bigger ones, but according to the picture, what they show here anyways, I would assume maybe it's something like the Mavic too enterprise with thermal and stuff like that. That's my assumption, but just shows you again how people can use the tool in a really good way. And it makes you think too, should everyone be able to like just fly this themselves? Because it isn't too hard, honestly, ultimately. And they could have just done it themselves. Hey, let me throw it up here, let me see where I am. I still think just in terms of like hiking and stuff like that, it should in many ways be an essential tool, not just for like taking photos or videos for fun. If you get lost, it could actually quickly tell you, okay, here I am. Holy, all the animals are coming out. Alright, see you guys later.